Sticking to its promise, the NBS last week, of course, announced Nigeria rebased inflation data on talking about last week, Tuesday. The headline inflation was reversed downward to 24.48% in January from 34.80% that we had in the month of December. This is a very huge difference, and Nigerians are indeed asking a lot of questions. Is it a drop in inflation, or how would they be able to explain all of this? There, arising from that as well, the CBN took another decision on Thursday as well to keep the MPR unchanged at 27.50%, leaving other perimeters also unchanged. Of course, as it were, the CBN were waiting for NBS to announce the CPI number before they indeed hold the first Monetary Policy Committee meeting for the year 2025. We saw that happen last week on the floor. Well, let's look at all of the decisions that were taken last week by NBS and indeed the Central Bank of Nigeria. I'm being joined virtually now from London by Dr. Sam Omale. Dr. Sam Omale is the President and CEO of Raw Global Investment Network. He joins me virtually from London. Good morning, Dr. Sam.
Morning. Thank you for having me, Yusuf. Can you hear me?
Always a pleasure. I can hear you clearly. Nigeria is fighting inflation through rebasing. Where is the comfort in rebasing inflation figures, Dr. Sam?
Well, the comfort straight away is that it brings confidence in the economy. It also brings a realistic situation in our economy, reflecting the changes that have taken place over the past few years. So in that spot, yes, it's necessary that rebasing should take place.
Okay, when the rebasing takes place, a lot of Nigerians are asking questions. As a December inflation number was 34.80%, and suddenly it came down from that number to 24.48%. Is it a drop in inflation? For clarity.
No, it is not a drop. It is a change. If it's a drop, it will be reflecting in the realities of our economy. It will be reflecting in the lives of the people. Now, what has happened? What is rebasing? What have happened is this: that figure of 2023-24 you said was based upon the base year of 2009, and that cannot be a realistic situation now. The number today is based upon the figures of 2024. So why it looks like it's not a drop but a change, and it's changing because of three things. Number one, the base year has changed. The figures we're using before was based on 2009, which is many years ago. It cannot be reflecting our reality. And why has that happened? Why did you have to rebase at this moment? Number one, two things you will recall, Yusuf, that the Central Bank, for the first time, was bold enough to remove the multiple exchange rates, the foreign exchange rates, which was, for me, a fraud. So this Central Bank, under the president's leadership, took a bold step to say, hey, we're taking this out. Now, so if you see, for example, that in 2023, January 2023, that Naira to dollar was about 500-ish. Now, all of a sudden, January 24, guess what? It now catapulted to $1 coming to 1,900, no thereabout, which gives it. So that will alter all kinds of stuff. Number two, you discover that at the inception of this government, the first bold statement they did, what the action they took, was to remove oil subsidy. Now, so that oil subsidy removal definitely alters the equation of so many things. Number one, the price of payments increased. So that has to be reflected in the calculation of the inflation figures for this period. So these two major economic policy changes definitely will have to be programmed or factored in when we are calculating the new
Okay,
inflation
doctor,
rate
what will you
figure.
say to those who say
And don't
it's an
forget also
attempt?
that,
Doctor,
um,
doctor, can you hear
yes,
me? What will you say to those who say it's an attempt to erase the punishing inflationary effects of petrol subsidy removal, floating of the naira, and of course the tariff hikes that is going on? Among various sectors of the economy.
no. Look, this rebasing is not done to give a succor or to give relief. That's not the purpose. Look, rebasing anyway does not improve its economic situation of anything, either way, whether it's positive or negative. Doesn't. What it does is to say from now, let's say next calculation, maybe next year's calculation, we'll now know where inflation is. But the trend so far, using this new base year, shows that everything is good. So government actually is also not saying that inflation has dropped and so life should go on. No, they are not saying that. So it's not done to deceive people. What they have done, like I said, is to bring some certainty and confidence, especially in the investment world, that want to see that inflation is good, is moderate. If you don't bring the reality of our economic situation, it will not be fine. So I don't think the government didn't set out to say, okay, if we change it from 34 to 24, that no, it is not. Our reality still stands. So what government will do is to say, okay, what can you do to sustain or to even reduce inflation further? Don't forget, Central Bank, which is the manager of the economy, has an inflation target of actually 6 to 9. They want a single-digit inflation. And on their part, they are doing everything possible to enable the fiscal authority to create an enabling environment that will bring about positive economic activities that will reduce cost of living.
All right, Dr. Omale, if you look at the numbers that we put out, look at the graphics that we have on the screen. The food inflation as at January 2024 was 35.41%. In December 2024, it moved to 39.84%, and in the rebasing, 2025 January is 26.08%. It's part of what you also analyze in your company. You analyze as well. The core inflation 23.59%, 29.3%, 22.59%. Nigerians are saying that why did we use the base year 2024 base year? Why not adopt the 2023 base year?
Like I just told you now, do you mean for the CPI or for all of the rebasing? Why they chose 2024?
Looking at the CPI.
Yes. Okay. No, like I said, they are using 2024 because it reflects our reality. I just told you that there are two things that happened in 2023, and and these are number one. By December or so of 2023, the Central Bank has cancelled or put an end to the multiple forex exchange. At the session of the government, they have also removed oil subsidy that was bringing a lot of fraud into the system. So the 2024 reflects the reality of the tinubu administration. Everything that had happened before 2023, these were not his policies. So we are now going to be measuring the activity of the tinubu economics. We are going to measure it. We are going to assess it from now going forward because of the policy changes that have happened. So 2024 will now be the new base year. We're not going to use 2009 anymore. So next year is when we're going to be assessing quantitatively how this administration is doing in its economic management.
All right, doctor, like you rightly pointed out, you'd say this is done to attract foreign investors or investment into the larger economy. Can you tell us, if you are investors and you want to come into Nigeria, do you wait for the rebasing of the CPI or the GDP for you to come in and invest in Nigeria, or you do your study, you look at the business environment, look at the ease of doing business, look at some of the economic indices, the power supply, and so many other things that you need to study before you come into an economy? Do you need to wait for rebasing of GDP or CPI for you to make an investment decision?
No, no, you don't wait for the, okay, rebasing just because it just happened. But you look at the inflationary trend of any economy before you come in, because it has impact on the value of investment. So inflation is a core macro economic indicators of how well the economy is doing. It's a measure of the economic growth. It's a measure of the economic development. So yes, investors will look at other costs of doing business, like you rightly mentioned, but they also look at the overall national inflationary trend. Because if they bring in £1 today, $1 today, what will be the value next year? If the investment comes in and they want to take away, what will be the value? And the value determined by one of the things that determines it is inflation. So inflation is very key. It still will be, and again, it's now realistically based. And if you can explain to investors why or how you arrived at your figures, it will make sense, because they now see that, look, the policies that are changing or that have come in is the factors that have led to this new development. Yes, they'll look at the other indices to come in or not. So, and that's where the fiscal government, the fiscal authority, the federal government now will have to say, okay, to attract investors, we will now have to make the environment, and we have to create an enabling environment, like power, like governance, and other things that are working against the development of Nigeria. So federal government will be working on that to attract. Yes, they'll do their due diligence, but inflation is a national measure of investment.
Indeed. Let's look at the CBN decision to keep the MPR unchanged. I mean, apparently reacting to the rebasing of inflation there for the first time since the CBN governor, Mr. Cardoso, came on board. He kept the MPR unchanged, because what we were known for was the upward review of MPR since he came on board in 2023. But we saw that change after the CPI rebasing. According to him, there is a sort of stability in the FX market. There are some good data coming from the macroeconomic side of the economy, like you rightly mentioned. Do you think those decisions did play out in what CBN did at their last first MPC meeting in 2025?
Definitely. You know, I watched his presentation, and I was very pleased. Don't forget that the monetary policy the committee was created actually for three things. Number one, to bring about price stability. So that's one of the core functions of Central Bank. Also, to support the federal government's economic policy. Federal government will trouble the waters. They will do whatever they want to do. CBN has to pick up the pieces to make things work. And also, the MPC formulates monetary and credit policy. So these are within their monetary policy operations, or what we call open market operations instruments. Now, so every time Central Bank is taking decision, they have this thing in their mind. Will it stabilize price? Inflation helps to do that. Interest rates help to do that. Is it helping government policy? Governments want to improve the economy. How can we create an enabling environment, like interest rate, for example? If it's affordable for people to have money and they can invest and expand their businesses, existing businesses, or establish new ones, yes, they do. So, and then why did they not increase this one? Because they said, you know, Central Bank is data driven. In fact, their raw material is data. So they have to wait for the Office of National Statistics to give them the data. Now, they cannot take a decision based upon this year's inflation rate, this month's inflation rate. They cannot do that. And they have wisely postponed or scheduled the next meeting to about in May or so, which gives them enough time for the Office of National Statistics to get enough data to see the trend of inflation. Now, Central Bank targets inflation. If the trend is going up, you can be sure that the next MPR will be at a higher rate, maybe by 100 basis point or 200, whatever.
Point.
It's at now, it's 27.5, yeah, 27.5. If the trend is upward, they are going to increase it. But I also know Central Bank in their back, in fact, especially this Central Bank, this governor wants inflation to be single digit, which is the measure of how effective the economy is, and it's working towards that.
Do you think
also you notice that for price stability and other, the other measures already that they kept was the cash reserve ratio, which is the amount the set up, money deposit money banks should keep out of deposits that are kept to them, and also the liquidity ratio, the cover, the liquidity, the money that should be available to them. So they have kept them so that it doesn't disrupt anything until the effects of this new rates begin to kick in, and they have wisely postponed the next meeting to, I think, May. Yeah, I think May. So that gives them enough time. Yeah, so they've done the right thing.
All right, Doctor. Do you think single-digit inflation is achievable within the short to medium term, given the current situation of the economy? A lot of vast majority of Nigerians are finding life very difficult as we speak. The high cost of living is there. We understand there's a gradual drops in the price of some grains in some parts of the country. But do you think achieving a single-digit inflation is achievable within a very short possible time?
Yeah, well, they have not. I'm not sure the Central Bank also has actually put a time frame for achieving single digit. No, it's a vision, it's a desire, but anything is possible. If, for example, insecurity is gone and farmers can go back to the farm, food inflation will come down. Period. If the power grid, national grid, is not is firm and is increased, and it reduces the cost of energy, yes, it's achievable. If other macroeconomic indicators begin to improve, single digit is what, in the UK here, we're talking about 2.7 or so inflation, and we want to bring it down to 2%. So in what separates the developed economy from developing economy is one of these things, is inflation. And it's because of the operating environment. So single digit is achievable if, especially the fiscal authority, the federal government, is able to bring confidence by good judiciary, to remove every form of legal risks.
All right.
Then other things will happen. Yeah, it's achievable, but the government has to be deliberate about doing that to make cost ease of doing business so fast that there are no hassles. Because that's the thing that manufacturers add to their products.
All right. I must thank you, Dr. Sam Omale, the President CEO, Raw Global Investment Network, joining us all the way from London there. I must thank you for your contribution on Business Daily today. We appreciate it.
Yeah, but can I give me a second?
Okay, 30 seconds, please.
30 seconds. Okay, just to say that I think for the first time, Nigeria has a central bank governor that is decisive, that brings calmness and deliberateness, boldness into the system, and the kind of decisions or policies that is pulling out definitely will position central bank to be in a position to begin to manage the economy very well. Okay, I think people should encourage, acknowledge that fact. He is one of the governors that has brought certainty and discipline to central bank in Nigeria.
Okay, those are kind words there for Olayemi Kadoso. I'm sure he's listening to you, and of course you ginger him, of course, to do more to stabilize the forex market, and of course by extension the larger economy. Thank you, Dr. Sam Omale, President CEO, Raw Global Investment Network, talking to us all the way from London, United Kingdom. Thank you for your time.